Welcome to a video for students in the composition program at Wichita State University. This video will help you locate citation information and create citations when you are using a library database for research. We'll begin by reviewing some terminology. You're probably already familiar with terms like article, journal, and database. However, many students have trouble telling the difference between them when they are looking at search results or creating a citation. One of the reasons for confusion is that some of these terms originate from a time before the internet or digital publishing. Scholarly journals were originally paper periodicals, similar to a magazine. They came out on a regular schedule. Each edition of a journal contained multiple articles, each written by a different author or set of authors. Each time a new edition was published, the publisher mailed physical copies of the journal to subscribers, including libraries. At the end of the year, university librarians would bind all the editions together in a single volume that was shelved in the library stacks. In order to find a specific article in the library, you needed the volume number, the edition number, and the page numbers of the article. The advent of the internet and digital technologies changed this process. Most journals are published digitally, so we no longer need to go to a physical library and find the physical volume and edition of a journal in order to read an article. However, journals still publish individual editions on a regular schedule, and each edition still contains multiple articles. Many of these editions are still organized into volumes, though these volumes are often digital rather than paper. Now most scholars access journals through databases. Databases are digital collections of journals. Instead of managing individual subscriptions for thousands of journals, libraries pay for subscriptions to these databases. Some of these databases are general, like JSTOR, and some are focused on specific subjects. These databases require specialized search tools and platforms to navigate them. At Wichita State, we encourage students to start with Smart Search, which is a tool that searches all of the collections and databases that Wichita State subscribes to. One way to think about this system is in terms of containers, from smallest to biggest. Articles are the smallest unit. Academic articles are written by one or more authors and are usually between 20 to 30 pages. In this visualization, an individual article is a blue box. Journals are the next biggest unit. Each edition of a journal contains or houses multiple articles and is at least 100 pages long. In this visualization, the red box with the dashed lines is an edition of a journal, which contains multiple blue boxes or articles. Databases are the biggest container. They provide access to hundreds or thousands of different journals. In this visualization, a database is the yellow box with the round corners. It contains the journals, which in turn contain individual articles. So why does this matter to you? This is important because most citation styles assume you understand this. If you don't know the difference between an article, a journal, and a database, you won't be able to create a citation. Most citation generators also assume you can identify this information. If you can't, you won't be able to input the correct information or double check the results. MLA citations are organized by container, from the smallest to the biggest. MLA citations begin with information about the individual article, including the names of the article's authors and the title of the article. The title of the article is put in quotation marks. The next part of the citation is information about the journal, including the title of the journal, which is put in italics, the volume and edition that the article was published in, and the year that the article was published. The next part of the citation is the database you use to access the article, which is also put in italics. The last part is the DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, or a permanent hyperlink to the article. This enables anyone who wants to access your article for themselves to easily find it. However, when you're looking at search results, these different containers aren't always obvious, especially if you're new to academic research. The rest of this video will walk you through some examples of search results and show you how to find this citation information. Let's begin by looking at some search results. For this example, I am using the WSU Libraries Smart Search. As I mentioned earlier, Smart Search searches all of the different databases that Wichita State subscribes to, so it will give me results from multiple databases and thousands of journals. For the sake of this example, I'm going to pretend that I'm researching high school cell phone bans. So I've used the search terms high school cell phone. As I scroll through my results, I see several different kinds of sources. I'm going to start by looking at the fifth result, which is an article called Problematic Smartphone Use Among Middle School and High School Students in China, a cross-sectional survey study. Let's look closer at this search result. At the top of the result, I see an indicator that this is published in a peer-reviewed academic journal, so I know that this is a credible source. Below the source type indicator, I see the title of the journal, which is hyperlinked, so I can click on it. Under the title, I see all of the bibliographic or citation information. This includes the author's names, the title of the journal, which is the International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction, the publication details, including the date, October 2025, the volume, which is volume 23, the issue, which is issue 5, and the pages, which are pages 3,879 through 3,894 of that volume. It also lists the database that provides access to the journal, which is Social Sciences Full Text. This gives me almost everything I need to create a citation. If I click on the title, it will take me to a new page that provides more details. This page also has the same publication information, but it's broken down for me. Again, it tells me the title of the article, the author's names, the title of the journal, the date, the volume, issue, and page numbers. Finally, if I scroll down, I can also find the DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier. With this, I have everything I need to create a citation. From this page, I can also click on the Access options to view a PDF of the article itself. Note that a lot of the publication information is listed at the top of this article, including the title of the journal, the year of publication, the volume number, and the page numbers. However, if I copied and pasted this into a works cited page, it would be missing essential information like the names of the authors, the title of the article, the edition number, and it would not be formatted correctly. Furthermore, if I didn't already have some context for this article, I might not know what some of this information refers to. For example, I might not know that the number 23 refers to the volume, and that the numbers 3,879 and 3,894 refer to the pages. This is why it's important to make sure that you understand the different parts of citations. Now that we have all the information, we can create a citation. The citation will begin with the author's names. When using MLA, the first author's name is formatted last name, comma, first name. If there are more authors, their names are formatted first name, last name. Since this article has 3 authors, the names will be formatted Tai, Zishui, Huan Heng, and Yan Li. The next piece of the citation is the title of the article, Problematic Smartphone Use Among Middle School and High School Students in China, a Cross-Sectional Survey Study. In MLA format, an article title is put in quotation marks, followed by a period. So we will put Problematic Study Use Among Middle School and High School Students in China, a Cross-Sectional Survey Study, in quotation marks, followed by a period. The next piece of the citation is information about the journal that the article was published in, starting with the journal title. In MLA format, the title of the journal is put in italics, so we will put International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction in italics. The title of the journal is followed by the volume number, edition number, year of publication, and the page numbers, and the page numbers are put after the letters PP. So we will put VOL period 23 to indicate volume 23, NO period 5 to indicate issue number 5, 2025 to indicate 2025, and PP 3879 to 3894. This section is ended with a period. The next part of the citation is the database, which is also put in italics. In this case, that is social sciences full text. The last part of the citation is the DOI, which I will copy and paste from my search result page. This should be formatted as a clickable link, so I will add https:// to the beginning of the DOI. Once again, this section is ended with a period. Now let's look at a different search result. As discussed earlier in this class, library databases don't just provide access to academic journals. Some databases provide access to articles published in magazines, newspapers, and other kinds of publications as well. Depending on your topic and your assignment requirements, these articles might be good sources for a research project. This result is classified as a periodical, which in Smart Search usually means it is a magazine. As with our other search result, the title of the individual article is at the top of the result. In this case, the title is High School Students Are Totally Behind and Addicted to Their Phones. It's making teachers crazy and driving them to quit. Under that, there is additional information listed, including the name of the author, Preston 4, the name of the magazine, fortune.com, and the date the article was published, 5/26/2025. The name of the database is also listed, which is Business Source Premier. Once again, if I click on the title in my search results, it will open a new page with additional information about the article, including most of the information I need to create a citation. However, this search result page doesn't include a DOI, so I am going to need to generate a permanent hyperlink. To do that, I am going to click on the share icon at the top of the page, ask it to generate a link for me, and copy that link to my clipboard. Now I am ready to create my citation. The MLA citation rules for magazines are a little different than the rules for journal articles, but they are still organized by smallest container to largest container. Like journal citations, magazine citations begin with information about the article itself, including the name of the author and the title of the article. Like journal citations, the next part of the citation is information about the publication, including the title of the magazine, the volume and/or issue number, if relevant, the date the edition came out, and the pages, if relevant. Like journal citations, the last part of the citation is the database, followed by the DOI or URL for a permanent link. Once again, the citation will begin with the author's names, and once again, the first author's name is formatted last name, comma, first name. This article only has one author, so it will be formatted as for, comma, Preston. And once again, the next piece of the citation is the article title, which is put in quotation marks and ended with a period. For this article, the title is High School Students Are Totally Behind and Addicted to Their Phones. It's making teachers crazy and driving them to quit. The next container is the publication, which in this case is a magazine. Once again, this part of the citation starts with the title of the magazine, which is put in italics. The article was published on fortune.com, so we will put fortune.com in italics. The title of the magazine is followed by the publication information for the specific edition the article was published in, including the volume number and issue number, if relevant, the date of publication, and the pages, if relevant. This magazine does not have volume or issue numbers, and since it was published digitally, there are no page numbers, so we only have to include the date of publication. When we are working with newspapers and magazines, we need to include the full publication date, not just the year, and the date is formatted by day, month, year. So we will put 5 May 2025 followed by a period. The last container is the database that houses this magazine, which is also put in italics. We accessed this magazine through Business Source Premier, so we will put Business Source Premier in italics. The last part of the citation is a DOI or a permanent link, which we generated and copied in an earlier step. We will add that to the end of the citation followed by a period. To review, MLA citations are organized by container, moving from the smallest to the largest. The first part is information about the individual article, including the authors and the title of the article. The second container is the publication, by which we mean the journal or magazine that published the article. This information includes the title of the journal or magazine, the volume and edition, if relevant, the date of publication, and the page numbers, if relevant. The next container is the database that houses the journal or magazine and which you use to access the article. The last item is the DOI or link that readers can use to access the article for themselves. You can usually find all of this information in your search results or generate it through using the database tools. If you have questions, talk to a WSU librarian. They are always willing to help. You can talk to them in person at the library, or you can chat with one of them through the ABLA Library website. Simply go to the ABLA Library website and scroll down to find the Ask a Librarian icon.